A man on a quest, day and night. Fearless, insatiable, even in his dreams late in life. And he notes everything.
I think that this idea of waking up people who are complacent was very Miller. He was probably the most open person I ever met. And he wanted other people to be open, to see, and he felt that people were blind.
Most of his books are about sex, relentless, obscene. But what does this mean to him? Is the egomaniac in him seeking pleasure? Or is he searching for a higher truth? Who was Henry Miller?
A sort of a monk with genitals.
Die Welt auffrischen, alle sich einzuverleiben. Die Welt besteht nur aus den Dingen, die er haben, essen und verdauen kann. Das war der Eindruck, den ich von ihm hatte. Durchaus sympathisch.
He used to say, I have the most incredible erotic dreams. And I would say, okay, Henry, tell me. And he'd say, oh, in my dreams, I'm fucking everybody.
Pretty good, very good. Yeah. So that's the kind of babies you have here, huh? Very good. All in one piece, too, huh? Yeah.
Miller grows up in New York at the turn of the century. His grandparents had emigrated from Germany and settled in Yorkville, the German quarter in Manhattan. He is baptized Heinrich after his father, who runs a tailor shop in Brooklyn. German narrow-mindedness awakens the rebel in him.
In that stupid German neighborhood, they were great disciplinarians. They were brutal people. All my boyfriends, when I go home with them, they would say, defend me, help me. If my father starts to hit me, grab something and let's run, you know. Yeah. It was all brutality and discipline, it seemed to me. Crazy.
He hated that, what he calls the Germanic fault of allowing oneself to be subjugated, okay? And you just go because that's how it works. You just go along this one channel. You don't see the other worlds, right? You're just focused.
Oh, my mother, she was a peculiar woman, you know. The neighbors said she loved me. They said that she was really greatly fond of me and all that. I never felt any warmth from her. She never kissed me, never hugged me. I don't ever remember going to her and putting my arms around her, you know. That was a big loss. I didn't know that mothers did that till one day I visited a friend of mine, his house. We're 12 years old, and I go home with him, and his mother, they were English, and I hear the mother's voice. Jackie, oh, Jackie, she says, darling, how are you? How have you been? Puts her arms around him, you know, and kisses him. She says, I never heard that kind of language, do you see? that tone of voice was new to me.
I think he was searching for something in women that he couldn't find, that didn't really exist, because he had this ideal. There's a relationship that's very typical, I guess, of is the right word, of his attitude towards women, and that was his adoration of this young woman named Cora Seward that he knew as a youth in Brooklyn. And he was infatuated with her, but he could never kind of bring himself to approach her, to declare his interest in her. He used to go out and walk to her house and just stare up at the window, just longing for her. So he was kind of somebody who from a fairly early age was on a search for something that was truer to what his own real feelings were. And he was also, I think, in rebellion against his mother and her values and willing to do things that would outrage her. So he was consorting with prostitutes, he was going to dance halls, and he was taking up with older women. And he was doing things that would have deeply offended his mother. And that was kind of like a mission for him to do that.
He begins writing at this time, discovering his artistic side. The work in his father's tailor shop doesn't suit him at all, and his attempt at marriage fails quickly, a result of boredom. His memories of this time are bitter.
Now I know. Now I know where I am and who I am. Back in that old shithole, New York, where I was born. A place where I knew nothing but starvation, humiliation, despair, frustration, every goddamn thing. Nothing but misery. Of course, this was the New York that I knew when I was being born, or rather, I didn't know it yet. Later, when I begin to explore it, why, it's a different city, a little more horrible, gets worse all the time. When I think of the Brooklyn Bridge, which was the only bridge then in existence, how many times I walked over that bridge on an empty stomach, back and forth, looking for a handout, never getting anything, selling newspapers at Times Square, begging on Broadway, coming home with a dime maybe. It's no wonder that I had these goddamn recurrent nightmares all my life. I don't know how I ever survived, why I'm still sane.
From the very beginning, Henry wants to be free for his adventures. He seeks these out with women in nighttime Manhattan. Following a chance encounter with June Mansfield, he wants to marry her immediately.
She was a taxi dancer. They used to call it a taxi dancer in New York. You would go to a dance hall, pay a girl 25 cents, and she would dance with you and rub up against you. And she must have been very pretty, and she must have been seductive, and also she must have been unattainable. And Henry was like a big boy, a big little boy.
Und das war sein Typ. Eine schöne, große, wahnsinnig sexual bestimmte Frau, von der er übrigens lebte. Hat er mir erzählt. Er ging ja immer zum American Express und wartete auf ihre Briefe, weil in den Briefen $10-Noten drin waren. Er hat eisern von dieser Frau gelebt. Ja, sie arbeitete und sie war einverstanden damit, dass er als Dichter nichts verdient. Er war doch Telegrafenbote und Ähnliches, ja, hat er kein Geld verdient. Totengräber war er einmal, glaube ich. Aber auch das passte zu ihm. Ich glaube nicht, dass ihn das irgendwie bekümmert hat oder ihm Komplexe gab. Das gehörte auch zum Lebenshunger, den er lebenslang verspürt hat.
But Henry, I think, over time, he came to see June as kind of a muse who believed in Henry's abilities as a writer, perhaps even more than Henry himself did. And she was the one who kind of kicked him out of the nest and said, if you're going to become a writer, you're going to have to go to Paris. That's where artists become artists.
And Paris is indeed a wake-up call for him. He has already been writing in New York, but in Paris, he'll have the existential experiences that will form the basis of his later works. First, he fills piles of notebooks. He writes about people, streets, smells, and his poverty, his constant hunger, the search for a roof over his head.
I think that when you suffer deeply somewhere and you can't escape, you begin to accept the situation, and then you find marvelous things in it. Don't you know? So in the midst of my poverty and suffering and all that, I really discovered Paris, the true French spirit and everything, and got to love it. This was, of course, that's that hard thing to understand, that how can you enjoy being like that right down at the very bottom. As for the street itself, there one may still see the old and the bent, the genuinely demented, the beggars and tramps, the drunkard. It's so interesting, so fascinating. You're so thoroughly alive when you do that. You're living then with your instincts like an animal. And that's a great thing for us over-civilized people to know again how to be a bird of prey or, an animal, just wolfing every meal and begging and being humiliated time and again, accepting it, being pushed down and then bouncing back up again. Each day is a miracle that you get through, do you see, huh? This is a very wonderful thing.
It's the instincts, the urges that we aren't really consciously controlling. But Miller believed we had to be connected to that if we were going to ascend. So it was sort of like, as above, so below. You can't rise without having your feet in the mud. And it's like the tree with its roots in the ground and the leaves are in the sky, that image. To become transcendent, a transcendent human being, you have to incorporate all of yourself and understand it. So and that was what Henry was about, in indulging all this obscenity. He was like saying, this is part of who we are as human beings, and I'm not going to pretend we're not this way.
In Paris, he writes his undisguisedly autobiographical wild novels, Tropic of Cancer, Black Spring, Tropic of Capricorn, and later, Quiet Days in Clichy. Miller has found his world and his habitat. Unloved America, where his books are banned as obscene for many years, becomes less and less important.
He called America the air-conditioned nightmare. As you know, he wrote a book called The Air-Conditioned Nightmare. He absolutely hated America.
It hasn't been too late.